Hi there. This is the second in our series of feedback videos. This one will be dealing with paper one, and I'll go through these question by question, just giving you a little summary and some tips for each question. First of all, paper one, task one is a labeling activity. This was answered really well by, I think, almost all of you. Six fairly easy marks here, and it's just a question of brushing up on your terminology. In the Nile glossary and the Scott Thornbury book, the indispensable A to Z of ELT will really help you with this one. Yeah, again, very easy marks. Don't spend too long on this task, about 5 minutes. And to be honest, either you know or you don't know the terminology, and so don't spend too much time agonizing over terminology that you simply don't have. So also spelling is important here. So remember to have a quick proofread of your answers once you've written them. Again, the labeling activity was done very well, and 6 easy marks. The second one, the short written response. Yeah, bit patchy this one. Some of you did really well here, but the idea is to get to the essence of the meaning, and what the examiner will have like 2 or 3 points depending on the term that he or she is looking for. So for example, we had the information gap activity. So what you would need to do is you would need to identify that obviously it's an activity in which students have different information, and then students would exchange information or communicate to complete the task. So within one term, you've got 2 parts, which both of which will give the essence of the meaning. So really get to the heart of the meaning of these terms, and try to make sure that your explanation is not vague or incomplete. And again, you can actually use terminology in your response as well to maintain accuracy and precision and not get too wordy. A lot of you were writing lots and lots of superfluous prose because you didn't quite have the accuracy or precision of terminology to describe the specified term. Again, Thornbury, Nile A to Z glossary for those, oh yeah, and finally, just one solid example. Don't give more than one example for each term. Okay, the task 3, yeah, I think pretty good on the whole. Answered very well. Make sure that these are language features, though, not features related to layout if it's a written task, or paralinguistic features if it's a spoken task. And make sure that each feature is distinct. Don't try not to overlap, because the examiner might only count, for example, 2 of your points. For example, if you mention tenses and 2 different kinds of tenses, the examiner might actually count that as just one language item or language feature. So be careful there. Try and get a wide range of different language features there, and just have a quick look at the level specified. Yeah, so try and relate or link your language items to the level specified in the task, just to make sure. Okay, number 4, the text analysis, very strong response. Just make sure you use the headings provided. So if the headings are effect on the reader, grammar, vocabulary, and organization, make sure you use those to guide your response. Okay, don't start writing about things that are not included in the rubric that's given. Yeah, and also be very mindful about the level specified. So for example, if the text if it's a narrative text, and one of the strengths you mention is the use of present simple tense, the examiner might not give you a mark just because at that level, if it's an upper intermediate level learner specified, then the examiner will probably think that this is not appropriate. So make sure your strengths relate specifically to the level which is specified in the rubric. I think that's about it for that one. The meat in the Delta sandwich, the language analysis. Lots of points, you're scoring lots of points here, so well done. Just make sure you get maximum, there's 50 points maximum here. So make sure that I guess that the depth is not really the key, it's just the breadth. So lots and lots of scoring points, as many as you can. You won't lose any marks for incorrect answers. So just try and write down as much stuff as you can within the time that you have left. Having said that, some people suggest that you do this task first because it's worth so many points. So it might even be worth skipping to this task to make sure you get a good chunk of the 50 marks available. In the first part, you're given the piece of authentic material and you're asked to identify items which are characteristic of the genre. Make sure you're identifying items which are characteristic of the genre and not individual items in the text. So, for example, if you're given a narrative piece, make sure that you're thinking about what kind of characteristics or conventions would you normally find in such a piece. So a narrative piece, it might be some kind of issues related to direct speech, reporting verbs, or perhaps a mixture of tenses and descriptive adjectives. So make sure this links explicitly and directly to the genre in general, not just listing items that you've found within that individual text. I hope that makes sense. Anything that doesn't make sense, as I say, check out the module 1 report 2015 and it will be more explicit with anything that I mentioned. Key thing with the task 5 here is make sure you're making lots of points related to the meaning analysis. A lot of you missed points because you didn't write enough analysis based on the meaning aspect. So try and get at least five points. So when you're analysing something for meaning, try and think of five individual points that you think that are relevant. With the phonology, make sure you're using phonemic script. So brush up on the phonemic script if you're kind of mentioning elision or any feature of connected speech. And one other thing, avoid analysing the non-target language. So, for example, we had this case of to be switched on. Remember, you're analysing the passive. We're not analysing switched on as a feature, as a phrasal verb. So be a bit careful to really, pay attention to detail, underline exactly what you're required to analyse, and don't analyze anything else, because you'll be wasting time. So really focus on that target language, which is normally in bold, and think about the meaning of the items overall, above the obviously form and phonology is important, but in my experience, most of the marks are found within that meaning analysis. Again, if you've got time, About Language by Scott Thornbury is a fantastic text for this. We're getting a bit too close to the exam for that, but if you do have some free time next week, About Language by Scott Thornbury will stand you in really good stead for that. Okay, so overall, paper 1, pretty good, very impressed overall. Most of you did very well in 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just make sure that language analysis gets nailed, and then you'll be in line for a very high scoring paper. Thank you very much, and now to paper 2.